Hi, my name's Andy Hockley, and I'm very much looking forward to coming to the English Australia Conference in Tasmania in next month, actually, in September. Those of you who know me know that my principal work is the lead trainer of the IDLTIM, the International Diploma in Language Teaching and Management. And in that role, in that job, I am lucky enough to get to meet academic managers from all over the world, working in many different contexts, in many different schools, in many different language teaching organisations. And through that time, particularly over the last 10 years, I've noticed and I've heard and I've seen evidence that the job of the academic manager is changing, and changing quite a lot, and has been changing quite a lot. And what people are dealing with as academic managers now is sometimes, in many cases, quite different from what it was 10 years ago. And so that's essentially where my plenary talk at English Australia is coming from. This sense that the work that you do as academic managers has changed quite a lot. Some of those changes, and I'm taking as the basis of my kind of evidence here is anecdotal evidence from talking to academic managers as part of my job, as part of my work as a trainer, from conversations I've had with people at English Australia who have told me that this is what people are dealing with, and also some research I've done. And some of you may actually have responded to my research survey. I know it was posted through English Australia's webpage and the Facebook page. So some of those changes that are there are things like the governance style has become much more corporate, much more the way that we expect things to be done. There's things like you're all dealing with KPIs and lots of what seems like a much more corporate way of doing things. This is especially true for those of you who work for large chains, and I know a lot of people in Australia do work for large chains. But it's also, it's not necessarily not true for those of you who work for private standalone language schools, or even those of you who work in the state sector. I mean, everything has become a lot more corporate and a lot more kind of based on numbers. Let's call it. Let's say based on sort of this sense of everything has to be measured. And also the other factor that's played into that is I know in Australia there's a lot more government regulation than there used to be, a lot more government oversight into what needs to be done, reporting requirements, visa restrictions, etc., etc. So those are the kind of the changes. Those are some of the changes that have happened in the academic manager's job and where they've come from. And people in my research and people have told me that actually there are some positive changes too. So I'm not just saying this is all negative. I mean, some of these things maybe are for a good reason. This kind of corporate governance does have some benefits, and also there are changes in technology and so on which have in some cases made the academic manager's job slightly easier. So that's where I'm kind of coming from in this talk. That's the beginning, if you like. That's where things are. That's where you've got to. And what I'm going to talk about I'll talk about that a little bit, but then mostly it's talking about how you, as the academic manager, can somehow take back control a little bit. Because I do get the sense that from talking to people, one of the things that academic managers feel they've lost quite a lot recently is that sense of having any control, not feeling like you can't do anything that you think is useful and valuable for your students and teachers, because you don't have the flexibility. You have these limitations that appear to make it difficult for you to do these things. So so what I'm really going to be focusing on is how I think you can use the new management, the new managing an ELT paradigm that we have to deal with, and make it work for you, and make your job more creative, more innovative, more focused on your knowledge and your insights of what is needed to make the student learning more successful, make the teachers' lives more effective, make their professional qualities come through. And so that's really where I'm coming from. I'd like to talk about how I think you can use the new management, use the new ELT paradigm in Australia, and actually make it work for you and make it better for you. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting you and talking about that in Hobart.